That's gonna be kind of difficult for me. Um, I do not have a laptop available. I crashed mine. And so we are having some technical difficulties on my end. I will try to make sure we have all of the technologies available to see everything that you're seeing. But innovatorsthinktank.com is where you want to be. I see you, Crazy Jack. Good morning, friend. We're finishing our class this morning, so I'm not going to be bringing you up, but just know that I'm proud of you and I'm hoping you have a wonderful day. I see you waving. Thank you. Crazy Jack is one of our favorite friends. He is not taking the class, but he is just a very special dude. And I always make sure to say hi to him. If you see him in your spaces too, please do. You're helping um, a wonderful, wonderful human um, learn some new skills. So if you see him out in the wilds, always be kind to him. He's just a good man. I see that Rob Scott has arrived. I'm not really familiar with Rob, but I hope that you're having a wonderful day. I see that you like Michael Jordan, so we can be friends. That's good. Um, but otherwise, make sure you're getting your coffee in. We'll start in a few more minutes. I think Cash Money Kev's going to check his mic, and Alisher's going to check his mic to make sure we're all on the same page. And then we'll start in about 6 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. So just settle in, grab your coffee, and hold tight. If you have any questions, DM me or put them down in the purple bubble. Also, if you have created a website, right, the culmination of the last 5 weeks, make sure you're putting that down in the purple bubble so that we can bring it up and kind of look at it like we did last night. If it's ready, if it's not, it's okay. But we want to make sure that folks are actually taking this seriously and making sure that they're building what they want to build and realizing their dreams. So we'll give you a couple more minutes to get acclimated and then we'll start. Alice, your love, do you want to check your mic?
And Sarah, I'm going to check my mic too real quick.
Yep, I can hear you, Cash Money. You're awesome. Sounding golden. A little crispy around the edges. Alice, go ahead.
Good morning, guys. Ready for this recap?
Very good. Very, very good. I think I see everybody too, which is interesting. There is a glitch on X currently that sometimes, even if we bring up speakers, they can look like listeners. So forgive us ahead of time. And if you are on the laptop, obviously, you'll have to send us signal flares. We don't get to see your waving hand as easily when you have a question, comment, or concern. If I see that you're coming up to speak, I'll do my best. But we want to make sure that folks that have questions, title, you would be one of them too. Grab the speaker box with a host and co-host. I think we have enough spots right now, so I think we're good, unless something happens, and in which case we'll add Alisher as a co-host, so we'll have more speaker roles. So we'll just do that. Hang tight for a couple more minutes. Title, I know that you had some questions last night too. I did not screenshot those. That was bad on Sarah. Bad host. I should have kept track of those for you, friend. If you can make that laundry list out for Alisher so that he knows kind of what you're going to be asking. You had some kind of technical questions also, and those were outside of my wheelhouse at that particular moment. So making sure that we're all on the same page is pretty important. If you can also list those in the Slack channel, if you have availability there, that would be cool too.
Yeah, I can I got a meeting too, so it's all sorted out, I guess, because I'm tangential, very tangential, pun intended. So, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to catch up right now. I know how to build a website, but I don't know how to build a website with AI. I'll just leave it at that. So I'm trying to catch up right now. I finally figured out the time of the second class. So that already, it's like the best thing I've done the last 3 weeks, to be honest. So
Little victories. I'll tell you, you know, I actually had to go back to session or season 2 because I never hooked my website up to my DNS, and I really had to kind of pay attention to certain things, and kind of plugging through the slow boat is what I'm doing. I'm doing the slow boat version because I have to be very calculating and precise because, once it goes live, I want to make sure that I'm not going to get in trouble with the people that I work for, first and foremost. So I have to kind of dot the I's and cross the T's, and I am also behind. I clicked on a malicious link last week before class, and I compromised my computer completely. So I'm in the process of kind of.
oh my God, I don't know if there's a person who threatened me with something ridiculous, but it looked like it was complete BS. But I did everything. I scrubbed my browsers, I scanned my hard drive, and I even did I used the Microsoft tools and scanned every file. I went over 3 million files on my computer looking for malware or some type of exploit, and just nothing popped up. What's scary is there could still be an exploit here. I'm tempted just to use my daughter's computer instead of my computer for like my crypto stuff. So there's least diversity, but the darn convenience, which hackers take advantage of, right? And scammers, it's just too easy to have everything centralized. So I'm broadcasting that.
I do the same thing. I actually have all of our family stuff on one computer. My dabbling in the dark arts of pirate money and JPEGs is on a separate computer. But this computer was specifically designated for this. It was just a really stupid mistake. And I actually bought a new computer just to make sure, because there are certain things, especially when you're doing CRMs and you're taking other people's information and data. I just didn't want to have that be a problem. And part of my issue, honestly, was that I had a computer that had S mode, the security mode for Windows. And in trying to do my SaaS, I removed all that stuff. And so I had
to get it to go
so
through.
many,
Yeah.
yes, I had so many compromising vectors of exploit. And it was a dumb mistake for me anyway. But the kind of, you always beat yourself up after the fact. But the moral of the
There's a
story
funny
is,
one.
go ahead.
There's a funny one that the scammer sent me a link, and the link was like saying, oh, there's something, cancel a transaction in Coinbase, right? But you look at it, it's like, if I don't read it, it's like a long link. It literally has like code in it in the link saying that it will open up like some type of window or something, which I didn't even think I always thought it was a joke. So I said, wow, this is kind of funny, because, the thing is that it's like I was telling someone as a student, I was talking about like me potentially having a compromised system, is that like the tools that the hackers and the scammers use, these are tools to help others with computers long distance. So the irony is that the scammers aren't rewriting the code. They're just sending you bits of code, and it'll say exactly what their stuff is doing if you actually read the link or it's like read into a little bit. And I'm not trying to challenge anyone. I'm just saying that there's some certain things you can do that if you're like really asleep,
Well, and that's part of it. I've had a couple different. Thankfully, I do have things on my computer that give me a heads up, so I'm not that dumb. But I had an interview. Someone asked for a formal interview, and it was really fascinating because the social engineering that is involved in really grooming the target. We had multiple, back and forths and DMs, and then they just wanted to send, here's a list of the questions I'll be asking you. And it was so, it was so innocent, put it that way. But, those are the kinds of things that we have to warn other folks about, because the person that I was going back and forth with was actually a legit person. It was just a rerouted situation, and everything seemed above board. So it's like little things like that. But you're absolutely right in keeping things decentralized. You don't want all of your eggs in one basket. This is an age old proverb, and it's absolutely imperative now in the age of AI, because it can connect the dots. Artificial intelligence can connect the dots and aggregate data in such a fast moving way. We can't compete with that. So you just have to play it safe. And honestly, enveloping it. I've had my AI tutor suss out a lot of interesting exploits in helping me set up this new kind of. It's just for this class. So I've designated special things just for here, because in the makerspace, we can't use a lot of those tools. When you're working with kids, especially, there's a lot of blocks that you have on your computer and a lot of things that you're not allowed to use in order to keep kids safe, and have that sandbox, which is what we're doing here too in tech and schools with the project that we're working on now. You have our sandbox. So you're building within the conframe. You're building within the construct, there it is, of tech and schools, so that they can actually fix it if you frack it up. But once you go out of those boundaries, it's a wild, wild west. So you have to kind of be careful. Well, we're here at quarter after, so I think we have as many people as going to show up that are going to show up. I know that Jeff showed his site last night, which was awesome, and he got some wonderful feedback, and he's still working on doing the connection thing. Cash Money Kev showed his site last night, which was beautiful. I love the concept of a log cabin in the woods, and especially legacy projects. I think it's interesting that both Jeff and Cash Money Kev have legacy projects. These are things that are supposed to outlive them, and I think that's wonderful. Title, you are working throughout all of the bits and pieces, and we're going to try to get you all squared away. Alisher is here, and Raz, I don't know if Raz, I'm not following you, but you're kind of new to me. And so, but I see that you follow a number of folks that I love and admire and are in part of my Pocket family. So welcome to the space today. I don't know if you've been following along and building your WordPress with us. We do have some people that may not be known to me, but are probably known to Nick Ross and Alisher, because they pretty much know everybody if you're playing in their sandbox. So welcome this morning. I hope that you are well, friend. Alisher, I'm going to let you take it and run with it. I have to see if I can get the live stream up. I haven't checked. I'm kind of afraid to back out of the screen. But I do have a backup in terms of Cash Money Kev. So you want to take away and run with it. Today is only going to be about an hour or less, if we can get through as much as we can, and then let people, go out and seize the day. We really were just kind of overviewing last night, so it's just kind of picking up the loose ends today. So I don't anticipate us going for very long, unless there's a big problem, in which case, you know what, we'll stay until we have to. But go ahead, Alisher.
Yeah, we're only gonna go over maybe like a few major things that I noticed when looking at the websites that people had last week, and I think the first thing we're gonna look at is actually editing the page. So I think what's important is when it comes to editing these pages. So last week, as opposed to last night. So last week we kind of went over how to set up a fresh WordPress, how to really install anything from Installation. And for your homework, you guys, of course, needed to work on your landing page, and then you also needed to get some plugins in, start connecting those plugins, and I think we saw a lot of your websites last night, and we saw some websites that weren't really part of the week's homework, but some of the websites that people were just working on in their spare time for their businesses, and we're gonna go over, I guess the first thing is how to quickly set up this page. So we got our template. What can we do to make it as quick as possible to set this up? And then we're also gonna go over setting up some of these global settings that I noticed a lot of people did not set up last night when we were showcasing the websites. So you want to make sure
Just
that
2
you're
seconds. Alisher, do you see the live screen? I am not. So I might be the odd man out, but I am not showing Innovators Think Tank as being live. Are you seeing that as live, friend?
Yeah, I am.
All right, it's a me problem. All right.
There's also a live stream here in the replies. If you just scroll down the replies, there's an X live stream.
Excellent, excellent. I do see that we have Taco Coin and Nico requesting. I'm not going to bring you up right away, friends, because this is a class and the folks that are involved are ones that have been showing up. And I just don't quite know what you would be asking Alisher yet. So I'm going to suss out a little bit. Just know that we appreciate your presence, but this is kind of a class and this is a recap of what happened last night. So you might be in the wrong room or just listening to us sit and chit chat, but thank you,
Yeah.
honey. Thank you. I appreciate it. Taco Coin, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day and you go on to greatness. It was wonderful seeing you here.
Not a crypto space, guys. It's an AI space. We're learning AI.
That's
so there you
right.
go.
That's right. No, we're not dabbling in pirate money here, although most of us do, but that's not the kind of gist of the space. So, all right, continue, Alisher. I apologize for the interruption.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna start with our WordPress, our front page. Getting started is as easy as you go into the front page and just clicking Enable Visual Builder at the top. Now, I didn't make any changes to my page. I was a bad student. I did not do my homework at all. I didn't even try to get any graphics in Pixio. I just, this is it. This is what I'm doing my homework. Now, what I'm going to start with is actually getting the text. We'll start with the easiest thing first, right? And then, you'll start getting into the more complicated things, like actually changing the layouts. But you want to start with the easiest thing first because all you really have to change is text and images for this page to go live. So I want some text for a landing page. And this is for our Friday Spaces, for our app during Friday Spaces, for a Flutter app called Mindful. And it has features such as talking to AI therapists and just describe, what you're building the website for, and it'll give you some text for it. And then you can start plugging that text into your blocks. You can even specify what blocks you have. Therapist, transcription, what else? Maybe daily check-in, and etc. Now, let's take a look at how it's actually laid out. So we have a few blocks, right? We have our first block that's at the top. This is kind of like our header. This is the official header. Then we have this block. These are probably called like features or something like that. Icons with text. Then here you have a body block. So you have something that has a bit of text about the product and an image of the product. And then this would be considered a call to action. There's not really much here besides a giant graphic and a tagline. And then we have another body with some images. We don't really have a gallery. Testimonials and we'll call this our footer because there's some social media here. Our actual footer is this right here, the basic WordPress footer that we're actually going to get rid of. It's kind of ugly looking. It doesn't really fit our theme. We're going to use this footer instead that's nice and bright. Okay, so let's describe that to the AI. So we'll say landing page has, we'll say like 5 blocks. First block, header. Second block, 3 features with icons. third block, I think it was a body. So body with text and image. And fourth block, call to action. And then let's see. Now fifth block, I think we had another body. Yeah. It's actually like more like 7 or 8 blocks here. So we'll put 8 for now. So fifth, another body block, another body with text and image. Then looks like we had some testimonials here. So testimonials. Let's see. What else? Actually, looks like 7 is the footer. So 7 footer with a download button. Okay. Now, a few things we're going to add here. So we're going to say keep the text brief and easy to read. And also make sure the text is SEO friendly. I will be using all-in-one SEO plugin for WordPress to evaluate this. And then we're going to keep this conversation going because there's a few things we're going to actually need from this conversation. So it's going to give us some of our text, and then when we're working on our SEO, we can start maybe having it give us some keywords as well to match for the SEO. Okay, these are pretty light. So let's check this out. So Mindful, your personal AI wellness companion. Okay, not too bad. I'll take it. And straight away on the front page, we can click Enable Visual Builder, and we can just keep going with the text. We'll fill in all the text first, then we'll fill in all the graphics. And with Divi, it's pretty easy to edit the text. You just have to double click on the text, triple click on it, and then I can replace this text with my text. Little too long, yeah. I'll just say,
That's better. That's way better. Yeah.
there you go. And then you could also, mess around a little bit with your font if you want to. But I'm actually probably just going to get rid of this in the first place.
We have to be logo on the phone.
Yep. We'll just keep it simple.
That's definitely more when it's that big.
And then we'll put a logo in the corner. Okay, now we have a little subtext. Then we can keep going with the text. Triple click the next block of text to replace it. And we'll just keep steamrolling. Oh, some pictures glitching out. Worry about the buttons later. We'll figure out what button which will lead to. For now, we just want to stay focused and just keep going with these different texts. And you guys will see, just changing the text makes a lot of difference. These are a little bit light on the words.
Could say.
It's okay.
You said light, right? It's very, very literally.
It's good.
It's like, okay, gotcha.
Because SEO is going to complain about sentences being too long.
That's true.
Here, nice and quick. Now, let's see what these icons are. Can we change these icons, or do we have to make new ones in Canva? Let's take a look. Okay. So each of these is going to have its own kind of section that you can edit besides just the text. And here we have image and icon, and this looks like it's just the basic image. But I can make it use an icon as well. So let's see if there's anything, maybe a person. Or some, maybe like a doctor icon. Yeah,
Have that? Medical?
there you go. See, so they have icon libraries, and we could even mess around with the color here. These are decent. Okay, now we'll change them all.
Actually, not bad.
This is
Alisha,
what's
you
that?
know, to jump in real quick, I don't mean to interrupt. This is a really important piece of the puzzle. So just to have it time stamped on the recording, typography really matters. You want to make sure that your site is legible. And what we're going through right now, or what Alice is telling us and kind of going through, sometimes there's this want to get fancy with the typography, but you have to understand it can make things very difficult to read for other folks. We had talked about that with Jeff's site last night, that the color, the font size, and all of that are really important. And if it's something that you haven't thought about, my AI tutor is really good for this. You can ask it, what is the ideal typeface and font size for the broadest group of people? And that will help you out in terms of picking things like this, but it's important.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I would even, for this text, for example, I would even make it bigger. If we're going to have minimal words, then we should make it larger and be more legible in that case. And it's actually better to have minimal words. You want to deliver your message with the least amount of words. Because at the end of the day, the people are not going to spend 10, 20 minutes reading your website. People are going to glance at it. And it's, there's an art to being able to deliver a message that fast when it comes to websites. And AI, it'll probably understand that art better than most humans.
It can also catch spelling errors like business. I'm sorry, I'm hoarse.
Yeah, no. Well, we actually see a lot of spelling errors in these templates, but most of it is gibberish anyway, like the Lorem Ipsums. Ooh, this looks like a longer piece of text. Still not too bad. Ooh.
Sounds like one breath upward.
Okay, so looks like most of the text is done. Now for the graphics, we can use Pixio with a mix of Canva if you want to get some of these mock-ups, but I don't have screenshots of my app yet, so I'll just stick with these images for now. Okay, nice. All these buttons. Here's the reviews. Perfect. Now, if you have a real product and you have real testimonials, this is where you want to add it in. This is your opportunity to actually make use of those testimonials.
Tell your friends.
It also gives you a little bit of incentive to actually send your app out and see what people think of it. Gave me some pretty sure testimonials.
We took you real literally.
GAI.
You literally said,
Yeah, sure, sweet.
and Carl was like, okay, we're gonna make it really simple. Carl like, oh, you do too much.
It's good. Oh yeah, that's another thing. you want to make sure you choose the right model. So I chose the model that's, I guess, supposedly good with copywriting, Claude. Some other models might not be so good. And for whoever was saying earlier how to build a website with AI, well, this was really how you would build a website. Is you would choose your template, and then you would use AI to create images, to create the content, and start filling it in. Because at the end of the day, these AI websites, they're just, if it's fully generated by AI, it's just not as good. But these templates are nice. These templates are clean. They're created by professionals, and they're actually functional. See, are these pictures or are these actual numbers? Oh,
I'm
cool.
going to jump in real quick and just say thank you for Devin showing up. This is actually a class, a live class. And so Devin is an author that has written an incredible book. And I just wanted to say hello. I think he's going to duck out in a minute, but continue, Alisher.
Nice. So Divi also has some nice modules. Okay, download. So download Mindful. Download. Oh. Now let's see what it wants. There you go. That's a good slogan. But we need it bigger. There you go. And now all we really have to do is edit the pictures here and the links. And that's it. Just editing the text makes that much of a difference because now there's some real text behind it instead of just the lorem ipsum, right? Because at least now if people accidentally stumble upon your page and they see it, well, they're not going to see all the placeholders. Instead, they'll see real text. Okay, so none of these links are connected. That's fine. But another thing we'll notice is we have some branding issues here, besides just all the images not really fitting in. Before we continue, make sure you guys save. So whenever you edit your page and you're done with your changes and you want to leave the page, save. Now, Divi most of the time will save your draft, but just to make sure, actually save your page. Okay, so from here, we got to edit some of these other settings. So we have this navigation bar that has the logo. So we want to replace that with our logo, which hopefully I have one. And we also want to replace these links because these links are automatically put in and they just lead to different pages that you have created so far on your website. So I have here this homepage. I have a different homepage that came with your WordPress whenever you installed it in Stellatron. And I have a blog page, which is this uncategorized page with all the articles. But what I want to do instead, especially for a landing page, is I want to keep all these menu items on the same page. So I'm going to have home, about, testimonials, and they're all going to lead to the different spots on this page. Now, I think we did this last time, last season, but the biggest thing you want to do is give it some sort of a section ID or a class ID. And to do that, you need to edit the whole section. So here, if you're watching the live stream, I'm at the top section where I have my header, and you'll notice the blue editing buttons, and you will see a section settings button there. And this is how you set up the different sections. So let's check this out. I can do in advance. We want to give it a CSS ID. You can give it a class too. I don't exactly remember which one it is. Way outside of the bars. Yeah. I'll call this one home. You don't need a hashtag, just home. Then I'll just keep rolling along. So here, I guess this would be kind of like features. see. Features. And you just want to keep these simple. You don't want to make it anything too long. You don't want to make it anything that's capitals, because at the end of the day, you're going to end up using that and reusing that throughout the website if you keep editing for things like CSS or as you're going to see a link in it in the navigation bar. Features, let's make this about. Why not? And there's a call to action. We'll skip that for now. Some more about information. Let's do testimonials, so reviews maybe. Reviews. And here we have the download link. So we can edit the section as well. Make this download. And now we set up these IDs. Now we can call these IDs from anywhere, and we're specifically going to call them from the menu. So we can leave this page. Just make sure you save with the new changes. And I'm actually going to open the dashboard in a separate tab. So that page stays open for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set up the menu. So I'm going to go to Appearance. I'm going to go to Menus. So in our dashboard, in Appearance Menus is where you can create the menu. And as you can see right now, there is no menu. We have not created a menu yet. This is an empty website. And I'm just going to start with Main Menu. And this is going to be my menu that appears everywhere. Primary menu, secondary menu, and footer for now. Okay, awesome. So I created that menu. Now I have to fill it in. And since majority of our stuff is on the same page, we're going to use home links. So we're going to have our home page as the home link. So we're going to click home. And actually, I'm going to click on the one that's labeled front page. So this is going to be home. And then we got to add some custom links. And these custom links, they're going to call to the section IDs. So after home, we have features, I think, on my website. So I'm going to do hashtag features. And that's how you call that section. You use a hashtag, and then the section gets called. And what I noticed for a lot of websites yesterday is that your navigation bars were not changed. So good landing page, you want to have a good navigation bar that gets people from section to section, and you want to have sections that are important to the person viewing your website. What I have after features, let's see. About, I think. So hashtag about. And now link text is the text that actually gets displayed in the navigation bar. So you want to make sure that's properly formatted. The key here is consistency. You want to stay consistent throughout your website. And then we have reviews. Which is testimonials. And I think the last one was download. Right, it's an app. You want to have some sort of a download on the landing page. And just like most things in WordPress, whenever you edit something, make sure you save it. They'll always have some sort of a save button. And now let's see if it's changed or if we have to do something else in the menu for it to change. Nope, there you go. Automatically, the menu gets changed because we already have it set as the main menu. It's the only menu there. Now, it also made the secondary menu, which we don't need. And that is because we have secondary menu selected. So secondary menu actually adds a second menu to our page. And if you don't need it, then you can deselect it. But if you want that secondary menu to be a different set of links, then you can make a new menu and set it as a secondary menu. So that's why it's there. Sometimes some websites will have several sets of links. And now, as you guys can see, this website just scrolls down. And then homepage, well, that's the actual homepage. That is this page. But otherwise, because we're using section IDs instead of a link, what ends up happening is by clicking in the menu, you're able to scroll up and down through the website. That's typically your landing page menu. Okay, now we need to fix this logo. That's another big global setting that you want to fix because it'll immediately, change from Divi to your website. It's kind of like you've pretty much taken the ownership of the website by changing the logo. So let's find where the logo is. And it's typically, if you're using Divi, it's typically going to be in Divi theme options. If you're using a different theme, just look out for theme options or the name of that theme. And in Divi theme options, it's the first option under general. So all I have to do is just upload my logo. And let's see if I have a logo. Maybe not. Oh no, I do. Look at that. This looks fairly simple without a background. Now, one thing to watch out for. Another thing we noticed is that a lot of your logos, they're not PNGs. So we noticed some people have circular logos, but you could still kind of see the background. If you have Pixio, you can actually go in Pixio and use the background remover and remove the background. If you have Canva, you go to Canva, use the background remover. And you just want something with a transparent background because at the end of the day, if your navigation bar is white, and let's say the background in your logo is black, it's very conflicting. You want the logo to kind of blend into the navigation bar. And that's why you need a PNG, something that doesn't have a background. So this looks like it's empty, doesn't have a background, just has the text, simple. And again, whenever you put something in and you want to see that change reflected, make sure you click Save Changes.
Alisher, I don't know if you've seen the Twitter stream. Title had a question regarding the website itself, and I don't recall you mentioning the Mindful Flutter myapps.ai. Is AI Tutor connected to that website? I know that's kind of a weird question, but I just want to make sure. Go ahead, honey. Did you see his question?
I did not see his question, no, but I'm just, let me see it.
I know I don't like breaking your flow, but at the same time I thought, well, I wanted to make sure that we're answering the question and not passing it by. Sometimes the delay is as such that I don't see it right away, and I didn't know how to answer that question.
You can use any AI to complete this, by the way, and you don't have to use AI. I did see the questions. I just scrolled through.
Thank you,
You don't
sweetie.
necessarily have to use AI, right? You can write all these out on your own. That's why we had a week to complete this. But I just wanted to speed it up, and AI speeds up that process drastically. But no, you don't really need AI Tutor specifically, and this website is in no way connected to AI Tutor. I just asked the AI to write me some text for it. But you could also have AI Tutor scan this website, of course. Or any AI that can scan a website can probably scan this website. It's a WordPress.
Well,
which is
to answer
very
the question too, having a suite of tools under one umbrella, you're paying subscription fees to all of these different platforms, and that's the hardest part with AI, is that the barrier to entry is going to continue to go up. as, the glut and the need for those GPUs. And so the cost is going to continue to rise. So you won't have the benefit of having, let's say, Claude and my AI or OpenAI or any of the other large language models. You'd have to, kind of have them individually. And when you start adding that stuff up, it's just crazy. I know that there are other, applications like Poe, for instance, but it's kind of a bait and switch when you're purchasing an app and then you have to continually up the cost. When you purchase or subscribe to My AI Tutor, you're locked in at that cost. So for like Cash Money Kev, he's paying very little per month. And so same here. I mean, the subscriptions that I purchased for myself and for others are locked in at a very low rate. And that's forever. So if you are here and you don't have My AI Tutor or Pixio, you can subscribe to both of those and you can use the ITT discount code, which is 20% off. So you're locking yourself in at a very low rate. And as technology continues to improve, right, you're going to have to pay higher and higher costs. So it's kind of a catch 22. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, as they say. But if you're going to be using this as a business model, then you want to invest in those tools that you need to be successful. So I hope that helps you, Title. This is not a show either. I subscribe to lots of different things, but I will tell you, for especially folks that are, students or on fixed income or those kinds of things, you really have to, ask yourself those costs and how they add up, especially if you're using things that will involve buying tokens or coins in order to complete your projects. So I hope that helps. And I hope that helps folks on the recording. Yeah. Go ahead, Alisher. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Um, I know that you are in the middle of it, and I just want to make sure
Oh,
that,
and I was
yeah.
gonna say one more thing, Tyler, because I was reading more. You don't have to build a website about my app, of course. You can build a website about anything that you want. The main goal here is to build a landing page for your product, and then fill it with content. Fill it with content about your product, and then eventually, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this page as a funnel, right? We're gonna funnel people that are interested in your product. We're gonna funnel leads through this page, because at the end of the day, WordPress, you're gonna have very good SEO, and you're gonna have a very good way to connect to all these different services that we have learned about throughout the season, like VTiger and Moodle. And I think our goal for next week is to think about some sort of a course we want to create, right? So if there's something educational that you want to create, you could. We're gonna learn how to bring up your own education platform where you can actually have a course and sell a course.
Alisher, in lieu of a course, let's say separate classes, could it be a like an email series? I was thinking about this last night. What if you are subscribing to, instead of a course, maybe a series of information or something of that sort? Because I think that was one of the weirdest questions that we had last night was, I'm not selling a course. I'm not selling, I'm not a consultant. I'm not doing this. But I thought, an email series is just as, it's the same kind of concept where you're creating a series of content that is disseminated in chunks and can be, you know, at a cost. So, I mean, that could also be, I would think something like the equivalent would be like a Substack or something of that sort, where you are subscribing to a series of essays or whatever. I mean, when they're saying a course, it can be any kind of a series. It can also be a limited run of an actual product. So let's say you carve lino carving printings and you only have 25 per limited run. Well, you can have that as your courses. So you could say, here's a limited run of a specific piece of artwork, and then a month later, you could have a new run of a new piece of artwork. I mean, you have to think outside of the box in terms of what that looks like. But when you think of a traditional course, you have like what we're doing here. You have a season, and then you have, in this specific season, we have 7 classes, and each one of those classes, can be locked, or could be gate kept, or could be released upon subscription. But that could also apply to actual products. You just have to think differently about it. But the same mechanism, underlying mechanism, is used for both, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because for example, here I don't have anything leading to my course. I have something leading to, an app download. And for example, Sharon has her paid newsletter that she sends out, right? So for her, what she could do, she could include some sort of like an email field where it says sign up for my newsletter. And it could be, a free newsletter sign up. She could have somewhere where it's a free one where she's just collecting the people's emails. Or it could be the paid one where you click sign up and it takes you to, I think she uses Substack. So it takes you to Substack where they can pay her monthly or yearly.
And you want those things too, because like with Substack or with some of these other series, having them deal with the mechanics of the finance part, that's why Stripe is so important. You don't want to touch any of that stuff. You want someone else to do it and keep track of it and just send you a report and a check. Ultimately, it just frees up your time. The more that you handle all of those pieces, the more nonsense is added into your business. You're trying to delegate and, have the mechanical advantage. Use technology to do all of the busy work pieces of the puzzle, if that makes sense.
It does. And, if you're really serious about this, there are other things besides Divi that you can use. And the thing with, I guess, Substack is great if you're trying to, get a newsletter out. What it's not great at is having an amazing front page that will get people interested in your newsletter, in your content. Just like all of these other platforms. For example, we're going to be using Moodle for the education side of it. And now Moodle can process Stripe payments. You can make things gated. You can do everything you need to do from a learning management system standpoint. But what it doesn't have is a beautiful front end that will get people hooked. It just very basic.
One last thing, Alisher, before you move on, we're talking about, subscriptions. And last night we talked about Mighty Networks and why that is important for the progression and the next iteration of these classes, so that we're not going to be getting rid of our hard work if we're not winning at the end. And I was hoping that you could add the link to the Mighty Networks up top so that those folks that have not signed up for it and are not in that system yet are, because that was one of the other pieces of the puzzle last night. It's important because, these digital assets in our backpacks are very expensive. And there are some of us, me included, that have to work at a different time horizon, because there's different things that have to fit into place. And, you're holding up those assets, you're tying them up in TSI. And in essence, I don't want to say it's stealing, but it kind of is, because those assets should be able to be reallocated to the kids and to the ecosystem. But if it's being used to house a website that's just kind of stagnant for a second because you're still fitting the pieces in, that's kind of harsh. And so having the Mighty Networks in the background be able to keep our sites open, whether you win season 3 or not, we've worked on this for a long time, over half a year. So I wanted to make sure that we have that on the recording also, that Tech in Schools and that Mighty Networks is also another funnel. It's an example of what companies have to do in order to mitigate rising costs and understand how we all have expenses in our business. I look at my AI tutor and Pixio as a business expense. I write it off because it's so vital and important to my business model. And, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything accordingly. And if I have questions, that's one of the things, or need help. That's one of the other things that we were talking about last night. So if you can add that link up, Alisher. I see that Title has a question. Go ahead, Title.
So basically, why I was talking about if it's connected to AI Tutor is because in the beginning of this season, you mentioned don't go off the reservation, and I can easily go off the reservation. I'm trying to sign into WordPress, which I haven't used for like years. Okay, probably a decade. Okay, and I can totally build a WordPress site. And I know how to get a template. I have no problem with any of this stuff. If you need a landing page, I'm working on a landing page right now. My concern is once I have this landing page up, I'm like, okay, I did it. And it's not going to work with anything that we're supposed to be working on. So that's why I'm just asking for clarification and permission. You're telling me go off the reservation, get it done, caught up, then I can do that. Or do I have to log into TSI? Do you have to log into, any other services to be on the same page as everyone else?
Okay, so thank you for clarification. Makes a lot more sense now. Basically, in week 1 of this season, everybody who didn't have a cPanel, which is like a server space that we provide for everybody, essentially everybody who started with episode 1, started with week 1, they got their own cPanel where they can launch as many WordPresses as they want. Right. So if you were you here during week 1, week 2? I think you were, right?
Yeah, you helped me get the cPanel. So I should not be trying to log into WordPress, which I've been doing the last 30 minutes. I should try to be logging in my cPanel. Okay.
Yes. And then another thing to keep in mind is you can deploy as many WordPresses as you want in that cPanel versus you going to some other service where you gotta like pay per deployment of WordPress, or you gotta pay for your own VPS, like on AWS or something. We pretty much give you the tools, and that's where you install the WordPress, and that's where you can start editing the WordPress as well.
Thank you.
And also, if you did start a WordPress during like week 2, week 3, and you kind of forgot about it, when you log into your cPanel, when you log into hosting and all that, there's going to be like a single sign-on link into that WordPress if you started it. So if you like don't remember your login to that WordPress, through cPanel you can actually get in without having to remember that password.
I know it sounded like a complete idiot, but what if I forgot my cPanel? Because it's not going to my email. So
give me 1 sec. I remember messaging you, so I'm just gonna check my X, and I'm gonna see what that last message was, because I think I sent you your login directly to the WordPress. Let me just double check.
That's always helpful. That's about being on the reservation part, because I have done the same thing in terms of making sure that I can't get into my site. So making sure that you have that piece of the puzzle. But the thing is too, is after you get to understanding what the heck we're doing and that muscle memory sets in, then you can go out into the wild. So while Alisher is looking for that, Jeff, you have a question too, friend?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if somebody can put that Mighty Networks link up on our Slack channel too, because I don't know, once this space ends, I don't know how to get back to where I can pick that up here.
We still have some setting up to do with Mighty Network. So we're gonna drop the link in the Slack later today for everybody.
Excellent. So make sure you're looking for it.
Don't put it like on Twitter, where people who don't necessarily know why they need it will be signing up. And the reason you need it is because essentially during the previous season, we had some winners who get to retain their cPanels. And I guess for people who, after this season ends, want to retain their cPanels who are not winners, you would need to probably either move the stuff from your cPanel or we got requests from people to just keep it on our servers, and they wanted to pay us. And so I guess we're giving you that opportunity. If you don't want to move it, here's a chance to pay, and then you can just keep it on our servers. We'll support it. We'll update whatever needs to be updated on the servers like we usually do. But you just don't have to worry about having to move it, or I guess in a lot of these places like AWS, DigitalOcean, people haven't had the greatest experiences where, of course, when your billing cycle ends and you don't pay, your machines just stop, so your websites just disappear. They don't really keep your websites unless you're paying them monthly. They just completely delete it. Even we had things deleted on Azure by accident. So that's I think one of the reasons why people want it is because they don't want to have to deal with like the headache of having to set up hosting, having to go somewhere else and move things. So that's the main reason. And we're gonna have other things coming into Mighty Networks as well. We're gonna have some free courses. We're gonna have some paid courses coming in with some experts, and we're also gonna have an opportunity for you guys to set up some sort of one-on-one meeting if you need advice for things outside of AI Tutor, because we do have our AI Tutor support, which everybody who has AI Tutor Pixio is welcome to schedule a call, get to know your platform that you're paying for a little bit better. But we also have a lot of people who wanted to spend some one-on-one time and actually focus on their business ideas and developing their business ideas. So we're going to have that coming soon in Mighty Networks as well.
The Mighty Networks is basically a third prong to a suite of tools. If you have My AI Tutor or Pixio, the helpline has to be kind of designated for that ecosystem. But once you're building things outside of those two pieces of the tools, you need to have a different kind of helpline. Is basically it, because you're building things with your businesses. It's a different kind of consulting, and it's a different kind of information dissemination. So taking your classes and learning how to augment your building experience with, let's say, an AI, you're using two different components. And so, one of the things that they have been talking about behind the channels is how do we, because this whole ecosystem is a beta, right? We're disrupting education, and we're trying to figure out how that looks like, or what that looks like, and how that works. Because you can't continue to deficit spend and give everything for free, right? And so these cPanels cost a lot of money, and the collaborators that have been so generous to us, we don't want to take them for granted, because that's one of the things that you have to pay attention to. Collaboration is the next currency, and if you continue to extract and you're not giving back, that relationship is going to sour one way, shape, manner, or form. You don't want to suck everything dry. So having this kind of ecosystem where after you've learned your class, and if you want to continue to keep the things that you got to play with, having this kind of middleman sort of scenario. It's a lot like a makerspace where you're paying a monthly fee to keep the makerspace open. And, while the makerspace is open and you're paying your monthly fee, you get access to all of those tools. And the reason why it is such a healthy environment for a lot of folks is that they could never afford these big tools on their own. I couldn't afford a lathe on my own. I couldn't afford a Bridgeport or a plasma cutter, or have the footprint in my studio for it, right? But if I'm paying a subscription fee and I'm keeping the lights on in a shared ecosystem, it gives me the ability to use those things. So that's kind of where this is coming from. And I hope that folks look at it and go, wow, this is pretty cool. Like, for the people that are in my maker spaces, in real life, it's baked into their business plan. They just attend a makerspace, and they go and they use the big tools. They put their projects in the lockers. We use our facility to mail those things out if they're selling on Etsy, or those physical things. And it is really kind of their shared work environment. So Mighty Networks is going to be a shared work environment where, you visit digitally and you keep your business lights on, for lack of a better term. I see that Donica's here too. I want to give her a big hug. She's just visiting. I don't know if we're doing our class right now, but she's just a special person in the Innovators Think Tank community. And I wanted to give her a big hug on Thursday. So at any rate, go ahead and continue, Alisher.
Yes, I just have one more thing that we got to edit in global settings because we have our menu, we have our logo, and that one more thing is let me see where it is. Okay, there it is. Okay, so in Divi, in Theme Builder, we have this right now on our front page, and I think most of us start out with like this. We have this footer, and this footer doesn't really do anything for us, right? So we have this footer, and it's just like the WordPress footer, and just has like WordPress info and your blog and some links. But we don't want to really set this up. We have everything already set up. This is our footer. So what we can do is we can get rid of it. And to do that, we need to go to Divi Theme Builder. So it's going to be under Divi Options. It's going to be Theme Builder. And all you got to do is click on the eye right next to Add Global Footer. And it'll just hide the footer that's currently there. That's the little trick. You could also add your own global footer if you don't want to use the footer you have on your front page. But just watch out and make sure you don't have like a double footer in there. One thing we noticed in season 2 is people get a little lost in here. So if you don't want to use the theme builder, remember, the only thing for you to use it for that's important is disabling the current footer, is disabling that ugly WordPress footer. And that's it. So Divi Theme Builder, disable the footer, and now whatever footer you had on your page, that's the footer that's going to appear instead of having the global footer. That's not good looking. And that's it. Now we have this page. It doesn't have any of the extra stuff we had before. The menu is fixed. We have our logo. Now the only thing for me to do here is just change the pictures and the links for these buttons. This is where you can start linking it to your newsletter. You can start linking it to the downloads. Here we have some options for social media. So it's really just about properly linking in and putting in the pictures. And that's it. That's all there is to building this quick landing page. Now, there's some things you're going to go into, like the plugins that we discussed last week, such as the SEO plugin. You guys are going to have to go through that on your own. I think it's case by case. But for the most part, especially the SEO plugin, is very like step by step. It takes you from properly labeling everything to fixing your SEO, making the keywords. And it makes it pretty easy. It gives you like a score that you can base yourself on and see where you're going. But yeah, other than that, guys, I highly recommend you finish up your front page and you figure out what is your product offering, right? If it's not a course, well, come up with some sort of an offering that's a product, whether it's a monthly, a one-time payment type of product. You just want to have some sort of an idea by next week. You want to have something sketched out, some sort of verbiage for it, so you know where you stand, what you want to do, because next week is when we start kind of connecting this to your product, right? If it's a newsletter, we're going to start connecting it to your newsletter. If it's a course, we're going to start connecting it to a learning management system where you can actually have people start signing up for your course and start paying. So that's your homework for next week, is actually figure out what your product offering is. Get some phrasing down. Make sure you remember. And next week we'll in the beginning, I think next week we'll also go over of what everybody's trying to sell, what everybody's product is.
And to just reemphasize, you will not be able to continue if that's not done next week. You won't be able to participate. So you want to make sure that you have these just basic things in place. It doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles, but you definitely have to have the bare minimum to move on. And, I am as guilty as most, as being a perfectionist almost to a fault. Progress is greater than perfection in this case. And making sure that you have a minimal viable product to move forward is going to be one of those underscore, underline, big, bold letters. We can't emphasize it enough. If you're not there yet, I can tell you the last 3 Thursdays, um, that's only an hour to watch. You don't have to watch the full 5 hours of the Wednesday nights, but you can definitely muddle through those handful of weeks and at least get yourself up and running. I know that I personally am going to have to do the same trudge work because I'm starting from ground zero until I can figure out how to, format a new computer. But you know what? Life happens. Ross went over that last night. We all have an excuse. They're like the tail end of each of us. I don't want to be crass, but everyone's got one, right? Um, and the thing is that you have to really focus on your why, and that is your guiding principle. You want to know why you're here, and hopefully, the passion around that project is great enough to push you through. Because honestly, the world needs to see these ideas and the thing that you were meant to build. Now, is this tough? Absolutely. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be here, and it's not. You're going to have to summon discipline and grit, and it's not going to be fun necessarily, but you have to get it done in order to have that one thing out in the world. And you really don't know. It could mean that your one thing could be the catalyst to solve something much bigger than yourself. And so, you have to summon that. If it's something that's been on your heart for a while to create, then it needs to be done because it's going to eat you alive until it's done. And no one else is qualified to build it the way that you are. So hopefully that inspires you enough. Title, I see that your hand is up and I don't know when it went up. So apologies to you for me interfering. What was your question, honey?
Well, first the icebreaker. When the Sarah bot for positivity comes out, that's the one I want to buy. That's what your product is. Clone yourself. Digital. Personality at your disposal. That would sell because I love how you have your verbiage and stuff like that. Given that I'm a bit of a grunt at times, right? What I'm hearing is work for hire contract. If certain things aren't hit by milestone, loss of access. So now I just want to iterate what the checklist is. Website with some type of product, going through cPanel, and maybe having SEO, or not maybe, SEO. Has that SEO optimization. Is that the list? Is that the task list? By next Wednesday Eastern time, correct?
Yeah, well, the website, that was actually for yesterday. So we already showcased our websites. But if you don't have it, of course, you're going to have to catch up by next week. And the actual assignment for next week is figure out your product offering. What is it that this website is going to funnel towards? Okay,
so again, I hate to be maybe a little bit too realistic, borderline negative, right? Again, I'm hearing this like a work contract, and I'm gonna say this in an assumed thought of how other people might be thinking, who don't know what they want to do, right? So I've done online teaching for a very long time, like maybe 5 or 6 years. I've gone through different people who don't use AI, who just build businesses online, primarily through Facebook of all things, internationally, right? And right there is an MVP. Like, are you asking me to create a passion project, which, given the course or given the assignment deadline, that doesn't necessarily make sense to me? Or wouldn't it just be easier to look at existing businesses and just recreate that to match the assignment, right? That's, again, like a grunt thinking, not maybe so much entrepreneurial, to get X from Y, right? Am I wrong to think like this? Like, because I feel really weird because I love how Sarah puts everything, but my mind's like trying to minimize everything into this is what you gotta do it. You get it? You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel weird about saying this the way I'm saying it, but
Don't feel weird at all. I mean, here's the thing. Humans have a way of circumnavigating and using the tools on hand to get from point A to point B. And in your head, If it's, I need to emulate whatever it is out there to get a minimal viable product, that's not wrong. That's just humans being humans looking for a mechanical advantage. We're natural problem solvers, right? We're natural puzzle builders. And so your way of thinking is not wrong. I think a lot of people are going to be doing the same thing. They're going to look and they're going to say, okay, I don't want to be made a fool of. I want to make sure that I'm not letting the crew down. My pocket family matters to me. And I don't want to waste Nick Alisher and Ross's time. I don't want to, hurt Cash Money Kev or Mattia or Luke because, they've put in all of this time, and I think that, naturally that is something. So don't beat yourself up for that and don't think it's wrong way of thinking. It's absolutely right. I mean, that's just human nature, is that we're going to find the path of least resistance. But I'm just saying that it's going to be a slog for a lot of us because we're not digital natives in that traditional sense. Coding doesn't come naturally to us, or a cPanel is completely foreign and it's frustrating. There are a lot of pieces to this whole entire project that drive people absolutely freaking bonkers. And I am one of those people, right? This is not my native ecosystem. I would rather turn off the computers, and believe it or not, and just play in my studio. I like, hands-on materials, right? I need to feel these things complete. And sometimes relinquishing control to an ecosystem is not my first priority. It's not my native way of thinking. So don't beat yourself up about that. We just need you to understand, each and every person in the folks that are listening in on the recording, we're unconventional doers, right? The fact that you're sitting here, go ahead.
So the MVP then could just be the online teaching. Because I'm a little confused because I've seen
We're
websites
not
with
asking
people.
you to make an MVP. We're just
Oh.
asking you to get some sort of an idea down. And we haven't been, it's not that quick of a timeline because we've actually been here for like 20 weeks.
Yeah.
We had season 1 of the Build Space where we build out a SaaS. Maybe now you want to start promoting that SaaS and start funneling users towards that SaaS. We had our season 2 where we build out our WordPress pages. That WordPress page could have been about your SaaS. And now we have our season 3, which is where we're, learning how to actually attract users and capture that user information, capture those leads. So we're not really asking you to build an MVP. We understand MVP is a long way down the line. Actually, you can build up an MVP within 24 hours if you really wanted to.
Right, but the MVP
we just want you to have some sort of an idea down. That's all. Have like a basic idea of what you want your product to be. What is your product offering? You don't actually need that product to exist, or an MVP for that matter.
Okay, so there's a term for this. It's something minimal viable idea. There's another thing before an MVP that someone could have to pitch. I heard about this. It sounded kind of crazy to me, but it makes sense, right? So that's what you're asking for, because again, I'm trying to make sure it's 100% definable because of the consequences that have been set, right? It's a conditional statement. If this is not done, then there are X consequences. So because when people say common sense, it's kind of a joke amongst me and other people, right? They tell me common sense. It's common sense, right? I always told my mom, who's common sense? What common sense did you raise me? Where was the book of common sense? This is one of the reasons I love machine languages, as close as they can get, right? 1 + 1 = 2 kind of scenario. You know what I'm saying? And I love the gray stuff of human interaction and recreating natural language. But I just want to make sure that what is being asked of me is 100% completed. And you know what I mean? Best as I can do. So at least I know if I fail, absolutely, I give in time, that I have done what I was supposed to do. And again, that sounds terrible, but sometimes when you're in work for hire and there are clients who have done unclear specifications, you know what I mean? And you only have maybe 1 or 2 iterations, so they don't take advantage of you. You kind of have to say, this is what we agreed upon. This is the contract. And that's what I guess it's weird. I don't know if I'm late or whatnot. I just want to make sure I can do this. I don't know if that makes any sense, but anyway, I'm going to stop talking. Thank you so much.
Title, you're doing awesome. Don't worry about it. I'm going to bring up Starboss. And, having those kind of questions is important. So we're not dismissing your questions. And the whole idea of just sussing it out for yourself is really important because you know what? You might not need all the bells and whistles. You just might need a landing page and a funnel. That's it. It depends on what your business model is. And, honestly, I think we all have to ask ourselves that question deep down secretly. So don't worry about that. I see that Jeff has a question and Starboss has a question. So Jeff, you go first and then Starboss.
Actually, why don't you let Starbucks go first because I got to load up a customer here.
Not a problem. Starboss, go ahead, love.
Hey, good morning. Sorry for my late arrival, but I'm happy to be here. During class, I did create a landing page and I was following along with Alisher. Title, I guess what I could probably say is go back and just watch those Thursday recap videos because I mean, it's been pretty clear what we're being asked for. And, I come in with zero knowledge of any of the language. I come in with zero knowledge of how to do any of this. Like, I'm like a newbie for all of it. And I tried to jump in on the SAS class and I realized like at that time, it was maybe a little bit too over my head, but could I go back and maybe visit those videos now and have a little bit more depth of understanding? Absolutely. And, I mean, I'm just plugging along where I can, but, I'm on a pretty serious pivot too. And I understand like you want to be able to deliver exactly what they're asking for. And that is admirable. And I think, they understand that everybody's at different levels and have a different state of understanding, you know what I mean, for what the tasks are at hand. But I feel confident if you went back and watched the last 3 weeks of recap, because it sounds like you're pretty talented, that you would be able to meet the deliverables that they're asking for. I mean, I'm going to have to probably do that probably in a 5-week cycle over, the next couple of weeks. But, I would suggest that because the recap with Alistair is amazing. And if you can just jump in and listen on some of the other days that the groups get together, like on Saturdays and Fridays and stuff like that. I don't know. For me, I just try to jump in and listen where I can just to learn because I don't even know the language. When I don't even know what an MVP is. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of get what you're talking about. I mean, but what does that actually mean? I would probably have to go look all that up. So, I listen for understanding, but I think that what they're asking for is doable. And they've been really clear on how to do it in the last like 4 sessions. So even if you haven't been here, whatever, I would just recommend that. I think that would be really helpful for you.
I can't agree more, Starboss. Also, Jeff, did you have that question? I know your hand went down, brother, and you are helping somebody, but if you are busy, feel free to hit Alisher in the DMs and he can get that question all answered for you. Alisher, great job on the recap today, man. Did you have any last little like closing notes before we end this?
I was just gonna say, keep working on your pages, guys. We saw a lot of your pages yesterday. They're looking great. You guys are doing a great job, and I hope that the few little things that we went over today will have a lot of impact on you, because that's something that I've seen across majority of the pages we saw. So hopefully that helps you kind of take control of your page a little bit more.
Awesome. And I'll make sure to get that link out when you, I'll retweet it and all that stuff. We'll get it up in the Jumbotron on Saturday for the Mighty Networks. Once you guys get that all figured out. Sarah, did you have any last little closing notes too? I know you are feeling a little sick, so I hope you feel better, by the way.
I'm a little bit struggling, but that's okay. Hakuna Matata. You know what? Everybody has their passion project, and each one of you are my passion project. I am just so stinking proud of the folks that are building stuff and choosing to invest in themselves and educating, having that lifelong learning and hacking your own education is really, really important to me. So it's always a tremendous honor to listen to your ideas and help facilitate in whatever way my skills allow me to do. But I just want you to be encouraged. You know, this is a slog. It's not easy. If it was, everybody would have a 1099 and they wouldn't be a W-2. There's a security that comes with being an employee as opposed to being an employer. And you taking the step to being an employer is one that is not surrounded in bubble wrap. It's not surrounded by security. It's not surrounded by anything other than your initiative to go forth. And interestingly enough, the universe always conspires with you. You might set out on this journey alone, but the universe sends little care packages in terms of people to dot your journey and to help you along. So we happen to be those little packages, those little pocket family that will encourage you and make sure that you continue to follow through. The world needs to see your ideas. It needs to hear your story. It needs to see what you're about. So happy that everybody showed up this morning. I'm thrilled about the folks that came last night. We had a full house. And I hope that the week goes well for you. If you hit a snag, obviously you can be in the Slack channel, and that's an immediate answer to your question. And on Saturday, if you're feeling spicy and sassy, sign up and pitch that idea. It's a bold move, and it's something that should be the natural progression when you take an idea to impact. You have to go through a gauntlet, and like a trial by fire. And it's not easy, like we said, but you know what? It's necessary. You don't want to go out into the world with untested metal. You don't want to go out into battle with untested steel. You need to have the refining fire. And that can only happen when you face a crucible like that. So sign up to pitch your idea on Saturdays for our innovation think tank. And then make sure that you're coming after the fact. Saturdays are going to be a little bit different because we've had some ne'er-do-wells ruin our fun. But we're going to circumnavigate that and figure out how to make sure that we can have an open forum to test those beta tests that Tech in Schools so lovingly create for us. They're just really special folks. Nick, Alisher, and Ross are incredible humans. And the Tech in Schools initiative project is one that is planting vineyards that will feed future generations. And so I could not be more proud. Josh Hellman, Cash Money Kev, Matea, and Luke at Innovators Think Tank, their nobility of purpose shines. And it is just such a tremendous honor to sit in the cheap seats and to help out where you can. I hope that each and every one of you find your place in the digital overlay, to give back, because there are people that have invested in you along your journey that have transferred their skills, talents, tools, and ideas to you. And if you can find your place in that digital overlay to kind of give back, I can tell you, in building up others, you are building up yourself. And there is something just so profound and amazing when you're teaching others. To teach is to truly learn twice, but it's also how you become a story worth retelling and how you become relevant in the world. So I just want to encourage you, be encouraged, and have a wonderful rest of the week and weekend. Go on to greatness, folks. Go on to greatness.
Awesome, Sarah. You're awesome. We all love you. Nobody could say it better than you. That was the godmother of innovation right there, telling the Pocket family how it is, straight up. And I just want to add on to your little pitch note there, guys. The ITT is going to be, choosing a community platform to partner with. This weekend, you can start pitching, and then by the time week 7 comes along and you've polished up your platform, you can pitch again. It's not like you only get one shot to pitch. You can continue to work it out, iron out the the wrinkles. And by the end of the season, we're going to be choosing that partner. So continue working hard. I know some days it seems harder than others, and you're having troubles here and there with whatever you can't figure it out. But it's all just a learning experience. You just got to keep pushing. Watch some YouTube videos. I know Ross is probably watching one right now. Alisher is probably getting ready to do the same. Thank you guys, TSI, Nick, Alisher, and Ross, for everything you guys do here. It's truly special. Same goes to DigitalOcean, cPanel, WordPress, for giving people the opportunity to build out their dreams and their community platforms here. Thanks, guys, for being here for the recap in the mornings. It's always super fast and a great learning experience. I love it. I hope you guys continue on with that throughout your day, feeling great, building great things. And with that, I'll leave you with the famous